So I'm going to do a pros and cons list of Chasca. I figured it would be a cool video, or we'll see how you guys like it. So let's go ahead and start off with the first pro, I guess. So the first pro I have to talk about with Chasca is that she does pretty good single target damage. If you need a character to clear a single target chamber, Chasca is going to be a good character to use for that chamber. So her damage at maximum, I saw a 1.1 million damage rotation just from her damage alone, and that's not considering her teammates that could also be doing off-field damage. I think very well she is a really good character to use, and is overall just a really good single target damage dealer. And then secondly, you've been seeing it, the unique playstyle. She rides a gun. There's not much else you could really say about it. She's unique. She is able to do multiple elements. She's the only character in the game who is able to hit with multiple elements. It's really nice, really strong. I think overall, this is a very unique playstyle for a character, and I think a lot of people underrate that aspect of her, how she's the first character to do a lot of this stuff here. And then sadly, for the third final pro that I really figured out was that she buffs older characters, right? Shinha is a character that I would have never used with any cryo character, but then Chasca comes out and it's like, oh, I don't even have to use her with a cryo character. Wow. So Shinha joins the party, and then she's actually able to buff Chasca completely, entirely. It's very, very good. I think overall, it's great that Shinha is now like actually usable on my account, because before this, I would have never used her, would have never thought about using her. But then Chasca comes out, and they're a perfect match for each other. Shinha will give Chasca 7 icy quills when you hold down her charge attack, along with 15% cryo damage bonus, and along with 15% normal and charge attack damage, which is insane just to give all those buffs. It's really nice. And 7 cryo hits are basically the maximum that Chasca can do. She can technically do 8, but honestly, the rarity of when you do 8 is just going to be so small that you might as well just say that Shinha is buffing Chasca entirely on her cryo hits. While I was editing, I figured out another pro for Chasca, just something I forgot to talk about actually, because I knew this was a thing. But Abysses lately have basically been single target. Chasca right now is a single target DPS. She will work great for all these newer Abyss phases. That will change eventually. We'll talk about that later. But, Chasca right now is able to really take advantage of the current Abyss meta, and I think overall, she's able to take advantage of it. She's able to perform well. She's able to get good times. That's completely fine. So that is all the pros that I actually had for Chasca. Now let's go heading into the cons. Feel free to subscribe while we're going over there. Now, sadly, we have to get into some cons. Basically, Chasca, 3 enemies, it just really starts to add up. Her bullets get spread out between all enemies, so she's only going to be hitting all enemies 2 times, which is going to severely lower her damage and really hurt her in the long run. And it's going to end up to where she's one of the worser characters. I like to call her the modern day Yoimiya because of this, because it seems basically the same sort of principle. And then on another note about her damage is that there are just better single target DPS characters out there. It's just as simple as that. She's not the best single target DPS character in the game. It's just, sadly, it's just what happens. There's not really much else to say. She just is not, better. And she just, falls flat, especially when those other single target characters can handle those AoE situations better than she can.
My will embodied. Off we go. Teamwork is... Bullseye! Bullseye! Yoo-hoo! Time to shine! Take your true form, by ordinance divine. Ha! Ha! Bullseye! Bullseye! Knock him down.
And then this one is only a temporary con, but right now, banner placement. We have Pyro Archon coming next update. I mean, that's just bad banner placement completely. It really does, hurt that a lot of people are going to, hate on Chasca just because Pyro Archon's coming in next update and they need to hate on her. Otherwise, they're going to summon for her because they're gambling addicts. And don't forget about Lolly, who could end up being a great cryo DPS, finally bringing cryo back to meta. Finally, after 3 years of them not being anywhere near the meta, that would be very nice. Shinha, that's the #1 reason why Shinha was a part of the pros here, because she has not had a good character to use with. But yeah, her banner placement is really, really bad for her right now. Now, you've probably been seeing throughout my recordings here is that Furina and Bennett are a very much so staple part of this team for Chasca. She really, really wants these characters. It's really hard for her to not want to use these characters. You can obviously do without them, but when you remove Furina, it does become a big issue because Furina is doing a lot of off-field damage while giving you the ability to do Hydro. It really can turn into an issue, and then you generally can also run Shangling as, you know, a double Pyro possibly, but a lot of the times anyone else that you're replacing Furina with does end up being worse. You can't even really replace Furina that well. Like, Shangling would be the best partner, and then you're doubling up on Pyro, meaning that Chasca is not going to have a 100% chance to convert her bullets. Now, if you had her C1, that would be the case, but, you know, let's go into the next feature. She doesn't work with Dendro, Geo, or Anemo, sadly, and none of those characters really can come here and buff her. She can't use Zhongli for a shield, right? Because you're going to lose the damage part of her bullet trick if you try and use those, and then also you're going to lower your chance to convert your bullets, which is bad. You just flat out bad. It adds way more RNG to Chasca than necessary. And her C1 only fixes the bullet conversion and not the damage. So you may add a character like, you know, Shilonen to buff your damage, when all actuality, she's going to be losing 30% damage buff. So Shilonen isn't actually able to buff her nearly as much, even with C1, as you would think. C1 only fixes the bullet conversion, and it's C2 that fixes the damage bonus that you get from the conversion or the extra elements in your party. It really does hold her back, because had C1 had both of these effects, Shilonen could have been a great partner to use with Chasca, but sadly, she's just not. So yeah, as of right now, that is about all I have to say with Chasca. Those are my pros and cons that I've experienced through using her and realizing, hey, this character, she's got a lot of cons. She does have a good amount of pros, right? She is a fun character to play. It's just that, you know, she does have those cons that are definitely going to hold her back compared to other DPS characters like, you know, Nevi or someone like that, right? I do think that the biggest con for her is her banner placement, just because had it not been right before the Pyro Archon, I think this character just would be a lot better, where you would see, you know, maybe even after the Pyro Archon, we would see if the Pyro Archon really truly buffs her, and I'm assuming that the Pyro Archon will, but who knows? It is a, you know, who knows situation, because I do not know. I'm gonna be honest. We do not really know how well the Pyro Archon is gonna work with her. You know, we'll have to see. So I figured this video would be interesting just to, you know, test out. Tell me how much you guys liked it or hated it, I guess you could say. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.